Hi there, it's Andrea Sangster here from CopyMadeSimple.com, and I'm on day 23 of my 30-day challenge to upload a tip a day to YouTube on copywriting and communications. And today I want to start a little run of tips on headline writing. Headline writing is a very important part of copy because, as you will know, if you don't get captured by the headline on a piece, you're probably unlikely to read it. So all the effort, all the hours you put into any marketing material, consider that it hangs on the reading of the headline for it to whether it actually gets read or not, and then you see how important it is to get it right. Now I want to read you something from a book which is I love this book, great book, and the book is called Tested Advertising Methods by a guy called John Caples, and he was a direct response copywriter who started work in sort of mid 1920s, and he tested everything he did, so he knew what worked and what didn't. And I want to read you something that he wrote in the early part of the last century, which is still very true today. The first and foremost rule for writing headlines is to try and get self-interest into every headline you write. Make your headline suggest to readers that here is something that they want. This rule is so fundamental that it would seem obvious, yet the rule is violated every day by scores of writers. Now, it's interesting, isn't it, that what is true in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s is just as true today. That there are way too many headlines out there that don't have anything to do with the self-interest of the reader. They just talk about some creative concept, for example, and they use that as a headline, which is never going to sell anything. I was reading a magazine, Sunday magazine, the other day, which had some stuff in it about travel, and it was talking about this article was all about holidays on the Gold Coast in Australia. And the headline on the article was "The Gold Rush," which was neither accurate, because it wasn't anything to do with the gold rush, nor informative. I didn't know what it was, what this was about, apart from the fact there was a big picture of a lovely long sandy beach there. But it didn't really give me a benefit. There wasn't a benefit in there. Whereas, so for me as a reader, I was struggling a bit to understand what it was and couldn't see how it related to me. If they had put a headline on which said something like 7 miles of unspoilt golden sand for you and your family, well, now I'm interested, because that fires off a few, bells in me about what I want from a holiday. So the difference between Gold Coast and something which actually has a benefit for a reader, that's a good illustration of what a good headline should be. It should have a benefit. So always look at what you're writing in your headline and just say, does this tell somebody why that it's important they buy this thing? Or am I going off on a creative jaunt somewhere which isn't really going to sell any product at the end of the day? Okay, that's day one of this. There's 3 days now we're going to be talking about particular headlines. So I hope that's of use, and see you tomorrow for the next tip.